Bene, tocca a voi, non vedo mani alzate, ma sarebbe il momento di alzarle. Per adesso io ho capito che A, il web non è morto e non è neanche una domanda particolarmente interessante. B, il web si sta confondendo, si sta diluendo nel territorio e le persone lo vedono come un insieme di una nuvola di cose che stanno intorno a loro, possono accedervi con tutti gli strumenti possibili, ma alla fine questo conta ancora meno di quanto sia importante invece l'approccio di chi prende e fa un'impresa, la mette in rete e la realizza. Naturalmente questo provoca incomprensione, non sappiamo i numeri delle cose, lo share ci consentiva di leggere la realtà di prima, non abbiamo una nuova narrazione o misurazione della realtà di adesso, francamente non è gravissimo, però è un tema. Le domande, ce n'era una là in fondo, non so se c'è un microfono che viene passato, sì c'è. Parlate pure in inglese se rivolgete la domanda a loro, in italiano se la rivolgete a loro.
Can you go over the business model for Foursquare?
Sure. So as you know, I think Luca was talking about specials and things like that before. One of the ideas behind Foursquare is that every time you check in, every time you do an action, you get a little reward in some way. You get a reward in terms of maybe a recommendation from a friend, or you get the game elements, obviously. So one of the things that we started adding early on, even as early as last summer, is the idea of specials into the system. So we're partnering with local businesses all around the world and building a platform not only for our users but for these businesses as well, so that the business can go in and kind of see who their special customers, their best customers, or their most loyal customers are, and they can reward them with little bonuses in the system. So the special can take a form of, if you go check in somewhere, and if you come there a lot, maybe your first round of drinks is free. I think there was another one. There's a hotel in Amsterdam that early on did this. If you check in on Foursquare, you go there enough times basically, and you check in on Foursquare, you get a free night's stay. There are gyms that actually do similar things. If you go to this health club, quite a lot. There are 2 or 3 of them that do this. There's one in Los Angeles, I think, that does something like this. If you go there enough times, then you get a power bar or like a drink or something like that free for checking in. So we're basically building them a platform to give them this kind of data and to get more good customers in the door and to lead customers a certain way. Through the system. So right now it's very much in the experimentation phase. We're trying to bring on a lot of businesses and we're trying to show them all the different ways this could be done. We're also still trying to figure out what more potentially could be done with the idea of specials or other things that these businesses might want. If you go into foursquare.com/businesses, and if you own a business and if you verify it through our system, you get access to the special system. And you can go in and enter your own thing. You can choose a mayor special. You can choose a special if you have a customer that walks in there the first time. You can choose specials for customers that come in there maybe 5 or 10 times, whatever your criteria is, and you go and enter it. So right now it's a very open system. It's meant for all businesses, both small as well as big nationwide chains like grocery stores, to come in and enter. And at some point, the idea is to work off of that. So.
Prego. Qui c'è
Hi, I have a question for Dina Kaplan. Back in 2005, when I had to decide where to open an account for a podcast, my podcast was Pendolire at the time, and I decided to choose your platform. Apart from the fact that it worked perfectly, it was the first web hosting service for free. So apart from the XML problem, the podcast problem. So my question is, now 5 years have passed. Do you think that there will be a free internet working so-so in best effort and a managed internet, a walled garden internet, where you have to pay for?
Now, do you mean for companies like ours that offer services for people, or do you mean for watching content for consumers?
Both.
Okay, that's a fair question. And what was your name again?
Pardon?
What was your name again?
Antonio Pavolini.
And what was the name of your show?
Pendo Deliri. Probably at that time it was the first Italian podcast on Blip.
Pendo Deliri. Okay, I'm gonna go check that out tonight. So grazie for using us. So the first answer, which is, will we stay free and will companies like ours stay free? I would say absolutely. I think that it was very common. Now we're asking, is the web dead? And I would smile at that and say, you know, Blip has apps. We have apps on, if you have a Samsung phone, on the Android, and we have an app on Roku and on Sony televisions, and Foursquare has to have a website. So I would say that there was a similar, meme in the last year, especially during the recession, which continued longer than people had expected, where people thought that advertising-based businesses were dead and that the future was only in subscriptions. And you'll notice that Hulu, for example, has recently started a subscription service. I think that the death of advertising-based businesses was overstated. Brands will always need to market, and it would be like asking, is television going to die? Because I would say we're more like television than we are like internet companies. So in short, we will stay free, and there will always be companies like ours that will stay free, and yet we will still make money. In fact, we'll make more money. You have many more viewers, obviously, when you have a free service. We're at about 100 million views right now, and the more traffic we have, the more opportunity we have to sell ads, and the more opportunity we have to make money for you. And I believe we will make much more money this way, being advertising-based, than if we charged you, because you might go to another free service. Now, for consumers, I do think we will have more of a tiered approach. I absolutely believe that people can and will and should pay for some premium content. Will people be willing to pay for great articles from the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal? Yes. But will they also have access to wonderful free content on blogs and shows on Blip? Yes. So I think you probably will pay for more in the next 5 to 10 years, but you'll also have an even more robust amount of content that will be free as well, and both will live happily side by side on the web and on apps.
Prego.
Luca Delese pointed out in a very smart way an answer for Dina. And also Naveen, is that right? Yes. Correct? Yes. In a very smart way, this new approach of trade in the net environments, in some net environments. Just the opposite of the classical trade. Seller search for customers. Now customers tell to the sellers, here we are, we surrender to you. I would like to know if also in US this feeling is understood. This new approach to pose the customers to the sellers.
Do you understand the question?
A little bit. I think what you're trying to ask is, traditionally people have looked and tried to go out and find brands and find businesses, but now the model is that the businesses come and push to the user.
Right.
That's what you're asking. I think that's true. and I think that's also true in the US, but we've also had traditionally advertising that pushes, print advertising, for instance, that's kind of pushing to the user. Whether you're reading a magazine or you're in a subway and you see a big ad, that's in essence a push. The user has done nothing to go and look for that. So I think it depends on the kind of product. Yeah? So I think it's a combination of two things. If you see an advertisement for a BMW, it's pushed to you. You see that anywhere you read, anything you look at, you see it on a train, you see it in a subway. But then when you actually go to buy, you have to go make the decision. You go do the research. I think it's a combination of both.
I mean, I'll add, and I may answer this differently than you had expected or hoped, so I apologize in advance. But one of the things, so I agree with what Naveen was saying. One of the things that's very interesting right now, and it's an interesting and smart question if I'm reading it correctly, is that in the past, if you wanted to create a brand, you had to spend a lot of money. Apple, Toyota, BMW, McDonald's. These brands were established through usage, of course, but they're also spending millions upon millions of dollars to strengthen that brand and give exactly the messaging they want you to hear. Now, through social media, it is actually possible for individuals or new companies to create a brand by spending nothing. Foursquare, almost all of you is using. And I'm guessing your paid media is probably zero, is that right? Zero paid media, and it's a near household brand in a year and a half. That's stunning. That was never before possible. So think about what that means for all of us here in this room. When you're creating your podcast, or any of you are creating a retail company, a web company, or a personal brand, you can now do that for free, but it takes work. It doesn't happen overnight. You do it. Foursquare is very active in social media. So you tweet a lot, and you are on Facebook, and you're on all the other services that we're all on. But through that, very powerful things can happen for free, never before possible.
Yeah.
I agree with the when he says that maybe the price for that is a loss of our privacy, a loss of our freedom to move, because we communicate everywhere. We communicate always where we are.
Well, just don't check in, and you're good.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's not so exactly.
I was going to say, this came up last night too. You use it to get value out of the system, right? So at any point, it's the opposite of that. So.
Yeah. And don't turn on your.
We are going in the deep. We are going in the deep.